Hello and welcome to the Franchise Minute. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. Today we have a very special guest, Anthony Spagnuolo with Mighty Dog Roofing. Welcome, Anthony. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me, Anna. I'm excited.
Absolutely. I am too, and so is the audience. Last week we discussed the franchise disclosure document. This week's topic is the franchise discovery process. So for you, Anthony, and for new members of our audience, here's the format. In just a moment, we'll watch a 60-second video on today's topic, and then we'll have questions and answers. Anthony, I'm going to ask questions. You game for providing the answers?
I'll try my best.
I think you'll do awesome. Okay, and before we begin, Anthony, tell the audience a little bit about Mighty Dog Roofing.
Sure, yeah. Mighty Dog Roofing was actually the first of all the horsepower brands. So we specialize in almost anything on the exterior of the home: roofing, siding, gutters, windows, and we're in the process of rolling out solar.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that. That's fantastic.
Yeah, we're super excited for solar, but it's really more of a sales and marketing company than a roofing or construction company, because we utilize subcontractors to do all the labor, so that our franchisees are really focused on, building and managing a sales team to go out and build relationships in their community.
And Anthony, I'm not going to be modest, and I hope you won't either, but Mighty Dog Roofing has done phenomenally well among all franchises. Tell us a little bit about the recent accolades Mighty Dog Roofing has enjoyed.
So we actually have ranked in the Franchise 500 2 years in a row, best in category. In Entrepreneur 2023, we ranked the 11th fastest growing franchise in the world.
Wow.
And then I think probably my favorite one was the 2023 top new and emerging brands. And Mighty Dog took down the #1 spot for that this year. So we're super excited about that one.
That really is amazing. And you had a lot to do with all of those accolades. So congratulations to you, Anthony.
Thank you.
Absolutely. All right. So now it's time for the Franchise Minute video. Welcome to the Franchise Minute. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist, and today's topic is the franchise discovery process. This is when a franchise candidate learns about a franchise, and this is how a franchisor qualifies a candidate for their opportunity. This takes place over at least 6 or more weeks, and key aspects of it include a brand presentation, the franchise disclosure document, how the business model and marketing strategy work, the validation with current franchisees, and attending a Meet the Team Day. Both parties assess each other during this time, and if there is a mutual match, then a new franchisee joins the system. Thanks for watching. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. See you next time. Okay, Anthony, help our audience understand this term. We had a podcast just on franchise lingo. So what is a franchise discovery process? What is it? What's its purpose?
Sure. So the franchise discovery process is basically kind of a mutual evaluation between the franchise candidate and the franchisor. So there's a candidate that's looking at probably multiple different franchise opportunities, and they go through kind of a journey to learn the operation and the financials and the support structure and the leadership team and their experience. But it's also a two-way street where the franchisor is also getting to know that candidate and, trying to determine if they're a right fit for the brand. So, they're trying to figure out if it's a right fit on both sides so that they make the best decision of which, franchise to go with.
What it sounds like to me, Anthony, is this is the same thing then as the franchise granting process. Is that right?
Yeah, I guess you could say that, because it's very rare that we're going to have somebody come out to Discovery Day and not get approved, unless they don't handle themselves well at Discovery Day or something, out of the ordinary happens. I make sure that my candidates are dialed in and they do their due diligence, so that they have no trouble getting approved and awarded their territories when they come out for that discovery day. So, yeah, I guess you could say it's kind of a two-way street, and yeah.
Both sides were evaluating each other to see if it's the right fit.
Exactly.
And just by way of explanation, you use the term discovery day. I use the term meet the team day. They're the same thing. It's the end of the discovery process. Walk us through the main steps in the discovery process with Mighty Dog Roofing, just to use your franchise as an example of a typical discovery process and what to expect.
Sure. So it actually starts with a video series. So they watch a series of videos before they even get on my calendar. So they have a pretty good idea. The candidate's going to have a pretty good idea of, what Mighty Dog and Horsepower is and who we are. And then it starts with an introduction call. And that's where we get to know each other a little bit. They get to ask some questions, and I go over the opportunity with them at a high level.
Mm-hmm.
The next step after that is what we call a unit economics call. That's when we take a deep dive into the financials. We go over the item 7, which is the initial investment, and we go over the item 19, which is the financial performance of our franchisees. So they get to see, the revenue numbers and the expenses and the margins and the average tickets and closing ratios and all that good stuff for actual franchisees in our system.
Anthony, let me interrupt here and just give us an explanation, which we talked about last week when we had FDDs as the topic, that not all franchises can do a unit economics call like you just described, because they don't have an item 19 in their FDD. Only if they have an item 19 like Mighty Dog Roofing does in their franchise disclosure document can you then have that unit economics call. Otherwise, a franchise candidate has to gather that information from talking one-on-one with franchisees and that sort of thing. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. They'll probably still talk about like the initial investment to make sure that they know what to budget for and what it's going to cost them.
Right.
But you're right. If a franchise system's a little bit younger, for example, they may not have any financial information to share.
Well, it's not so much, for us to clarify. So financial information can be, cost, that's disclosed. Where the
performance.
Yes, the performance of the franchisees. That's the part that may or may not be disclosed in writing in the item 19. The item 7 will discuss cost and things like that. So any franchisor will discuss that with their candidate. It's the performance of their franchisees. A franchisor, by law, cannot discuss it with a franchise candidate unless it's in writing in the item 19 in the FDD. Okay, so I just wanted to be sure not to confuse our audience. So after the unit economics call, then what happens in the discovery process?
So after that, we map out some territories together. And then after that, we talk about the kind of business strategy. We'll talk about their funding strategy, how they're going to be paying, for the business, if they're going to use a SBA financing or some other types of financing, who's going to be running the business, things like that. And then throughout the process, after the second call, the unit economics call, they have opportunities every week to meet with different franchisees and different members of our leadership team, both at Horsepower and at Mighty Dog Roofing. So they have lots of opportunities to kind of go into the weeds on any particular topics and to meet all different types of franchisees throughout the process so they can learn from their experience.
So Anthony, are these weekly scheduled calls that they're just given access to join these calls, or do they have to just get a list of phone numbers and get on people's books? How does that work?
So we try to make it easy, for our candidates. So we have a weekly scheduled call every single week. We have a different franchisee on every week. So it's typically a 4 to 6 week process. Mm-hmm. So they're going to meet, probably half a dozen different franchisees, throughout the discovery process. And then once they're a little further down the process and they book their flights to come out for discovery day, at that point, I'll set them up with some additional one-on-one conversations with some other franchisees.
Okay, so let's clarify this. You said once they book their flights. So explain For people who are new to franchising, why are they getting on a plane? And also, if you don't mind, Anthony, explain, you've referenced horsepower a number of times. So explain that that's your, I call it your parent company, or it's the, well, you
Yeah.
explain.
Yeah. So Horsepower Brands is the holding company or the parent
Holding
company.
company. Okay.
They have about 15 different companies. Half of those are franchise brands like Mighty Dog Roofing. They're all in the home service space. And the
Mm-hmm.
other half are what we call shared services, which are businesses that we built to support the franchisees. So we have our own recruiting company, we have our own marketing agency, we have our own call center, and our own bookkeeping company. So we provide all of that support in-house. So that's what makes Mighty Dog so special. It's all the horsepower that you have,
Right.
behind you. And then Discovery Day, some people call it Confirmation Day or Meet the Team Day.
Mm-hmm.
We call it Discovery Day. We do that once a month, and that's here at our headquarters in Omaha, Nebraska. And that's when our candidates from all the brands actually fly out here in person to meet the team. And it's also a chance for us to meet them to approve them for their territories.
I have been to a horsepower Discovery Day as a franchise consultant. It was very eye-opening. It's really kind of like the difference between watching a football game on TV and actually being there. I mean, it's a totally different experience, and you learn so much more, and you really get a connection with the people. You can feel the vibe, the corporate culture. It's really exciting. So, all right, what happens after Discovery Day? Or what happens during Discovery Day?
Yeah, sure. So when they come out to Discovery Day, we take care of their hotel room, their transportation, and their meals while they're here. They just have to basically get their flights to come out. We pick everybody up from the hotel 5:30 p.m. on Thursday evening. We bring them to our corporate offices, or sometimes we host it at a hotel, in a convention center. And it's kind of like a big expo, networking event where they get to meet not just the team from Mighty Dog, but the whole team at Horsepower, all those shared services that I mentioned, and even a lot of our third-party vendors. Believe it or not, these huge national manufacturers and suppliers, they fly out here every month to meet our candidates at Discovery Day, which is really cool. And then Friday is presentations and one-on-ones, and then everybody heads home from there. We let them know later that evening whether or not they've been approved for their territories.
So you call them?
We send an email at the end of the day, and then they have a decision call scheduled the following week. Usually that Monday or Tuesday, they'll have a decision call, and later that week they have a sign and pay call. So, you should be pretty close to wanting to move forward and have kind of all your ducks in a row before you come out to Discovery Day, because typically people are moving forward within a week to 10 days post.
Right. Okay, Anthony. So as we look at the whole franchise discovery process, what would you say are what's the most important part of it?
So again, it's a two-way street, and we are evaluating the candidate as well. So actually, something I learned from Anna is the 4 Ps: to be prompt, professional, positive, and prepared. I like that a lot. I'm going to steal that from you and use that from now on.
You're welcome to.
Hope you don't mind. And also a big one is, this is a big decision. It's a life decision, and if you have a spouse or a business partner, they should be involved in the process, just as much as you. So we always try to encourage the candidates to, have your wife or your husband, your spouse on those calls with you. If you have a business partner, have them on those calls with you. Come out to Discovery Day together so that, you guys can both get the full experience and make a decision together.
Right. That's in the family's best interest. And of course, Mighty Dog Roofing and Horsepower Brands is making a decision in their best interest. All right, Anthony, wow, the time has absolutely flown by. We've run out of time. So in conclusion, if someone wants to learn more about Mighty Dog Roofing, what do you recommend they do?
I would recommend they hit up you, Anna. So I would email, text, or call Anna Wilds. Hopefully, Mighty Dog ends up being a great fit for you. But if not, Anna's got lots of different great brands that she can match you up with.
Well, thank you, Anthony. I appreciate that. And thank you so much for being here. You've just done a fabulous job helping the audience understand what the franchise discovery process is all about. This is Anthony Spagnola with Mighty Dog Roofing. Thanks. And audience, come back next week because we'll be talking about validation during the franchise discovery process. Thanks so much for being here. I'm Anna Wilds, the franchise economist. See you next week.